This is the DJI RC controller. Now, mine's been broken for quite some time. A few updates ago, DJI launched the ability for this piece of kit to actually update its DJI Fly app completely independently of a firmware update. And that's where the good news actually stops, because if you actually look at my screen right now, you can see that my DJI RC controller has been stuck on basically that version of the DJI Fly app 1.13.1. Yes, even though it was supposed to have the ability to update within itself without any need for a firmware update, mine simply hasn't. As you can see, no matter how many times I click this, it just tells us we are on the latest version. Now, a couple of days ago, DJI actually launched a firmware update for the DJI RC controller, but that's where I still had problems, because even though I knew this firmware update was here, it wasn't showing on my machine. Still nothing I could do. So I was still in the same situation, stuck on the old firmware with the old version of the DJI Fly app. Now finally, that update is showing on my DJI RC controller. Now, even though it says it is fixing minor problems, I'm personally thinking it's going to fix my big one, the fact that it hasn't updated the DJI Fly app for quite some time. I think it's April. So of course we're going to go through the motions and install all of that. As you can see, we are on the latest firmware. However, it gets even more interesting, because literally as I was filming the sort of B-roll for this video, I just clicked how to update the DJI Fly app independently, just to show that mine wasn't working previously, and it came up with a new update. So not only do we have new firmware for this controller, updating it to the version I mentioned earlier, and updating the Fly app to 1.13.8 or 9, whichever one it was. Well, now there's been another DJI Fly app update to 1.13.10. So what I'll do is take the DJI Mini 3 Pro out for a short flight and just review if anything's changed. But ultimately, if you have had the DJI RC controller and you've been stuck on the older firmware with the older version of the DJI Fly app, and yours has not been updated like mine has, now it will. So we'll just take a flight out with the DJI Mini 3 Pro. Everything does seem to be working fine. For some reason, I'm getting a really weird message on my controller to say that I need to do a compass calibration, but it's sort of working absolutely fine, and the compass direction is correct. So we will sort of land the drone and do that, but ultimately, yeah, it seems to be absolutely fine. Okay, so let's just try some of the usual little tricks we like to try. Let's just fly a little bit further forward. And let's just execute, as you know, I like to do this. I absolutely love to do this, actually. A little sort of quick shot, just make sure it's all selecting fine. Now, once again, just to repeat myself, if you are new to my channel, the reason why, when I'm testing these DJI Fly app updates, the reason why I test these sort of things is quite simply because on previous updates in the past, we have had situations where they've not quite worked or nothing would select. But as you can see there, that seemed to select absolutely fine. Let's just increase that to 40 meters, and let's go ahead and click start. There is a bit of a lag on that voice, which is kind of annoying. Don't know why it does that, but basically what's really cool about this is you can just select a box on any random object, select a drone, and what it's going to do is it's going to do a really nice reveal, landscape reveal shot, and you don't even need to press any sticks, buttons or anything. Absolutely fantastic. Okay, so as you can see, that's executed absolutely fine. If you're not familiar with this, once you've executed a quick shot, it will just come straight back to the home point. Just to show you spotlight mode, which is really, really cool. Let's skip that. Spotlight. If you don't know this already, what you can do is, again, if you want to take charge of the manual flying and leave the drone to focus on a subject, all you need to do is select spotlight mode. As you can see, we drew a box, selected our target, and we just fly side to side, and the drone's going to take care of all of that for us. And where that's good is that means you can control the speed. So if I switch it into sport mode, we can do it a little bit faster. Switch into city mode, it's going to go a little bit slower, but ultimately completely takes the effort out of moving the gimbal, and you're just concentrating on flying at the speed you want. Really, really good piece of kit there. Or of course, you can use point of interest, where you can see there, you know, the tap gun on the aircraft will circle subject automatically. So let's do that. So let's start it. There we go, look. And it's just going to do it absolutely autonomously, which is really, really cool to get a really nice shot. We're not recording at this point, but of course at this point you can record. And it's going to do it nice and slow to get some really cinematic footage. Now, because we have gone up to about 400 meters, it's going to be great to just test the return to home. So let's just hit that button and see if it gets us back to the home point, as it should do. We've got no real worries. And as you can see, it's raising up to our return to home altitude. I think I've got that set at 75 meters. Let's just have a quick gander. There you go, 70 meters it is. So of course it's going to come back, but of course if you want to lower it down during return to home, you can do just that. And if you don't know as well, as you can see, I'm returning to home at 10.8, 10.5. If I press forward, you can actually accelerate that slightly as well. Lovely location with all the boats. And as you can see, it's pretty much got us back to where we need to be, so that's pretty successful. So let's just cancel that. So I think we'll go for a little flight along the boats. So let's just, there we go, speed this up, go lower. And the drone is right in front of me, so we can see exactly what it's doing. Go a little bit slower. There we go, look. Let's go for a nice little flight just past the boats. We do have obstacle avoidance, of course, which is keeping us backed up. Just a nice little location to go flying. But we need to be careful because as I swing around, there is a guy walking across that's throwing his fishing line out, so we don't want that to get snagged in the props. So let's just gain a little bit of altitude and leave him to do his thing. That'd be the nice thing for us to do. So what we'll do, why not, let's just get some altitude. You can see there's some sunken boats there. Switch to cine mode, frame the shot, and then switch to photo. And just to finish this off, let's take a nice little photo. And we're done. So let's land the drone and come up with a conclusion. So I think that was a pretty successful test with this DJI RC controller and the DJI Mini 3 Pro. Basically, the new firmware and the flight app seem to be working absolutely fine. It has to be said, I've noticed no particular new features. However, of course, we've tested Spotlight, we've done a return to home test, quick shots, all sorts of stuff, some nice low flying against some boats. And basically, while there was no new features on the drone, everything does seem to be working exactly as it should. So of course, as usual, if you did find this video useful, please do give it a big thumbs up. It tells the YouTube algorithm more people just like you might want to watch my content. Subscribe if you're awesome, and until next time, see you again soon.